Without further ado, let's welcome our distinguished City Councilwoman, Dr. Knight.
Good morning.
Good morning. Inside joke, right? Dr. Knight, I tell you, you've been on the show numerous times, but you've been popped in and out, and we like to really thank you for, seeing a show such as this as something that's important enough for you to sit down and let people get a chance to hear your points of view. You've been able to do a lot of significant things as it relates to politics in the area, as well as educational. Some people who may have dropped off another planet may not realize that you're a retired school teacher. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on your education?
Okay, I'm a retired school teacher of 40 consecutive years. And those years have included all phases, I would say, of education. I have been early childhood teacher, Head Start teacher. I think I was part of the first program of Head Start for Lee County. I can recall when we had to go to Montgomery, Alabama to receive our training. I also have been an elementary school teacher, middle, high school, and on the graduate level, college.
I think the fact that you are a former educator gives you a unique perspective on the importance of Black History Month. And with that being the case, when you were coming along in school, as not only as a student but as an instructor, did you see Black History Month as something that was very significant at that particular time?
It was, and it has always been. But being a teacher, I have included Black history every day of the week. And whether it was a film strip, a bulletin board display, or just questions and answers to the students concerning our Black population.
Now, how important do you think that, in particular as it relates to young Black youth, that they know about the contributions that other Blacks have made in terms of our history?
I think it's very important. Our young people, I don't think, know enough. We no longer have all Black schools, so most of our young people have teachers of other colors, and their emphasis may not be as great as a teacher of color. And we look at TV, our children are glued to the TV all the time, and sometimes they do not watch the right thing that will enhance their educational skills concerning our heritage.
Now you raise a good point when you mention the fact that we don't have all Black schools now. And I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and I was a product of an all Black school. And you, I would assume, were a product of all Black school. Since you may have 2 or 3 years, you might be 2 or 3 years older than I am. But I pose that question to say, as you look at the educational system now, and particularly here in Lee County, we saw some statistics that talk about how low Black children are performing on standardized tests, as opposed to during the days when Black children went to school and they had Black teachers who were nurturing, who were more concerned, right, we would say, about their education. Do you think that has if you talk about going back to the old days, how would all that play out now? I guess what I'm saying is how do you see those two?
You know, as I recall, I was a teacher in an all-Black school, and I can recall the time that we were everything. When I say we, the teachers, that we were the mother, the father, the aunt, the uncle, and everything. We would nourish those kids to give them experiences and activities they no longer receive. I can recall that as an elementary teacher at Franklin Park, each week we had what we call a chapel program assembly, and we had to train those young people how to get up on the stage and perform. And we would even have plays every month that denote some special holiday. And we would stay after school and practice and practice and practice until that student was perfect for the occasion. We no longer have those experiences in our schools.
You know, we could get into a whole show on the pros and cons of the educational system now, so I'm going to have to change gears and get into what most people recognize you for. In politics, you're a city councilwoman. You're the second Black city councilman we have here in Fort Myers. Now your district is
I'm Ward 3.
Okay, Ward. Okay, you
Okay,
Ward 3.
3.
Now, there have been a lot of accomplishments under your clock in Ward 3. Why don't we talk about at least 3 things that you're most proud of in terms of your...
Okay, I'm very proud of our Stars Complex, Ward 3. I'm very proud of the Red Sox Stadium, Ward 3. I'm very proud of the Imaginarium, Ward 3.
Okay.
I could go on and on.
Okay. Now, when you first, now you got a chance to do some retrospect, when you first set out to run for city council, what were some of the thoughts that were going through your mind at the time when you look back?
When I look back, as you know, I am a product of Fort Myers. I was born here. My family, my father was a minister here, so I have always been a servant of the people. And as I was growing up, there were many services that was provided by the city that was not provided for the black population of the city. We did not have street lights, no sidewalks, dirt streets. Can you imagine dirt streets? And there were just so many services that we were not was not available to us.
Well, let's talk about that for a second now, particularly as it relates to Dunbar. A lot of the things that have improved in Dunbar as a result of having people like yourself on the city council. Before those things came about, was there complacency, or that's because we didn't have anybody who was speaking for Dunbar in the city chambers? What was the significant difference there?
The opportunity was not there, I would say. We would see the politicians, and I often would hear my father say they would come in our area once a year, and that was maybe the time for election or re-election, that they wanted our vote, and then they would come in and try to give fish fries or whatever, you know, in order to entice us to vote for whoever the candidate may be. But I always wish, and I always had really a goal in my mind that someday that wouldn't happen.
Now, as it relates to the city of Fort Myers, the future of the city of Fort Myers, how do you see race relations, particularly that we're talking here on Black History Month, amongst the citizenry of the city of Fort Myers? Do you see that it has improved since the days when you first got into politics, or do you see that race relations are declining?
Yes, the citizens' input has improved. I can recall my ward has always been a mix of population. And in the first year I ran, I started real early knocking on doors, not in the black community, but across Cleveland Avenue. And there were many faces who were surprised to see me, you know, and I would greet them very cordially, and some would invite me in their home, and some would just talk between the door to me. And I even had some say, well, I never had a politician that would knock on my door, so I'm going to vote for you just because you'll come to my door and have talked with me and what you want to do, that I can't do anything but give you a chance at this office. And they fulfilled their commitment because I was elected by 75% of the vote the first year.
Let's now, currently, how do you see race relations? I'm assuming that you're saying they were pretty good then. How do you see it now?
You know, I see it much better. I meet every week with some neighborhood watch group. And I'm not talking about Franklin Lincoln Park watch group. I'm talking about Palm City group. There are groups all over Ward 3. And no longer than this last council meeting that I had a group of citizens who wanted a street closed. And they were having some problems in getting that street closed. So I had my secretary to call most of the people in that neighborhood. They were there. I had them to stand at council meeting. It was a whole all-white group.
Now, what would you say has been the thing about you as a person that has allowed you to transcend race? In other words, be so what we would call in the movie business crossover, in that you have a strong constituency of white people who support you, you have a strong constituency of black people who support you. How have you been able to blend the both with your personality?
Lee, I haven't made any effort to treat any of my constituents separate as to white and black. If they have a problem, their problems are the same in every neighborhood. And when I go to each neighborhood and speak with them, I tell them problems that are happening in other neighborhoods, and they're all the same. I share with them what we're doing in other neighborhoods and give them some choices of what they can do. So I don't see it as a white neighborhood, a black neighborhood. I just see it as a neighborhood in Ward 3.
And that brings to mind something that was significant is, you know, I often read the mailbag of the news press. Yeah. And in recent months, particularly, you've been, there have been a lot of mail that has come in complimenting you on the way you handled the situation concerning the local NAACP and the funds that were supposedly weren't allocated properly as related to the banquet for 1995. Mm-hmm. That's not the gist of my question to talk about that, but people were complimenting you on looking at it as all business. If the commitment was made to pay for that banquet, those funds should have been used to pay for that banquet, regardless of race or whoever it was. How does it make you feel when you read those kind of complimentary letters? It
makes me feel very good, and to let the citizens are telling me that I'm being fair about whatever the problems are. And there have been many problems, especially I have a strong feeling about nonprofit groups. As you can have read in the past few days, how I have been supporting nonprofit groups. So, you know, the action that I took with the NAACP was action that I would have taken with any group. And most people may not know, but even with the renting of the city facilities, there's a difference between profit groups and non-profit groups. And I thought we had been very fair. And sometimes when non-profit groups see that they cannot afford a facility, they come before council before the event so they can make the adjustment. You know, and I want all groups to react the same way. And what I'm saying, I will defend any group if they go through the process.
Now, how does that make you feel when you're out there in the battlefield, you're out there on the line, you're doing what you think is just and what is right, and yet sometimes blacks may say, well, she didn't support the black cause, or she didn't support what was good for black people, or she's going against something that a black person is trying to promote. How does that make you feel as a person when you read or you hear something negative like that?
I wonder if those constituents are really looking at the facts. And when they feel that I'm being unjust, I'm just as easy as the telephone, you know, because my number's in my telephone directory. They can easily get me at City Hall or whatever. Sometimes people do not understand because they do not know all the facts. But if they are missing some of the facts and feel like I have been wrong about my decision, I think they owe me the courtesy to call me and find out why did I vote in the way I did, or why did I take the stand in the direction that I did.
Wonderful. Let's talk about you as a mother. You have, how many children do you have?
We have 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. Harrison, Sybil, Ken, and Albert.
Okay, now your children have done things that will make you proud of them. What advice would you give other parents in terms of some values that, things that they should try to do to help their children to be as successful as your children have been?
I would say support your children. I can recall when my children were growing up, doesn't matter if they were participating in any school activity, I would be there. And Sybil often share the experience that her first year at Howard University, she had a small part in a play, and she just had no idea that I would be there. But as you know, Sybil was in acting all from elementary through college levels. And when the night the play had started, and at that time I had my youngest daughter with me, and we walked in, and someone told Sybil, say, I see somebody in the audience looks just like you. I wonder who is that. And she said her heart just fell just to know we had made a trip. We flew to Washington for that small part where she had to say 2 or 3 lines.
Is that right?
We were there to see her. So I would encourage parents to attend the schools, go out and see your children perform. It doesn't matter how small the part may be. Take an interest in their school activity or even any volunteer services that they are rendering.
That's wonderful. Now, let's talk a little bit about, let's go back to politics for a minute before we wrap this thing up. Now, your term it expires when, this particular term?
My term expires a few months from now.
Okay.
In November. And I tell you, Lee, I'm going to let you be the first to know
An
it.
exclusive.
An exclusive, all on your show.
Okay.
At this time, I would like to make the official announcement that I will be running for re-election for Ward 3 seat.
All right, you heard it right here on Up Close. Live, late-breaking news. Councilwoman Dr. Ann Knight will be running again. Now, let's talk a little bit about, let's switch into this for a minute. Let's talk a little bit about your platform. Would it be any different from what you ran on before? Or would it be pretty much the same?
As I share with you, Lee, there are a very long list of activities that I'm involved in even now. There are some activities that I have on the drawing board, so we speak, that has not been presented to the council. I am really committed to economic development. I see so many of our young people who are still standing on the streets without jobs. It's hard to believe that they can't find jobs, but I'm still working hard to bring some new jobs into our community. And as you know, we have a special enticement in the Dunbar area. So I'm working hard to recruit some jobs into our area for our young people. And there's one group that I met with yesterday. You know, I can't share that information, hasn't been presented before council, but you know how you do your homework before you come to the table. Well, that's what I have been doing. So I'm committed to a continuation in bringing economic development into our beautiful city.
Okay, wonderful, because we definitely need it. Let's go behind the city council doors for a minute. We see you on television, and also some of us, like myself, get a chance to go to some city council meetings. And it's a lot of things that happen in the course of a city council meeting. And it seems that, but everything still stems from the mayor. And it's my understanding that Mayor Wilbur Smith won't be running for re-election as a city councilman. Can you give us some of the inside scoop on who's going to be running for the mayor and who you think is going to win and who do you support? Come on, you know, break some of this stuff like OJ, you know, give me the inside scoop.
Well, Lee, you know, I really can't do that, but I can. I'm hearing that the field is wide open. I understand the other day that there were 5 persons who have an interest in running. So I think between now and July, the field is going to be great. Maybe 10 candidates running for the office of mayor. And you know, it's amazing because a few years ago, I would say maybe 10 or 12 years ago, there was very little activity that was going on in the city of Fort Myers. We was that dry country. Had an attitude of in the early 30s when I was born. But now we are doing so much, and all these activities are coming into the city, and you just can recall all the things that we have had a part in making a difference. Not everybody want to be mayor. Everybody want to be council. So you know you must be doing something right.
Now you just open yourself up for another good question. You said everybody. How about Dr. Knight? Mayor Dr. Ann Knight, that has sort of a ring to it. Is that kind of twinkling in your eyes somewhere along the way?
Well, not at this point. I'm Mayor Pro Tem now, and I do get to serve in a lot of capacities that the mayor should be serving, and I have a long list now where Mayor Smith is sort of winding down, and he's given me those responsibilities. But I think I can be more helpful to our citizens if I remain as a councilman in Ward 3.
Okay, we'll keep this tape now. Now, let's talk. This is Black History Month, and in that vein, when individuals from you having experience in what we should look for in a mayor to operate properly and do the just thing, when individuals, particularly the African American community, start to look at candidates for the mayor position, what are some things you think that they definitely need to be looking for in order for us to have a mayor that's going to represent the total community?
Okay. I think we first should look at a mayor who will be committed to the total population of the city of Fort Myers. As we know, we have experienced from years back that we didn't exist. When I say we, East Fort Myers did not exist. But we should look at a mayor who's going to continue to implement programs that will meet the needs of all of the citizens. So I think that's important.
Now, when you say continue, is that to say that you felt like Mayor Wilbur Smith had done everything that he possibly could do to properly represent all of the community?
I think he has made a very good, strong commitment. Because as you know, the mayor really carries out the wishes of the council. And I can recall that there have been times when other mayors didn't see fit to carry out the wishes. And you have to be persistent, because I recall one time I was persistent because the council had voted on one activity and the mayor decided to do it another way, but he had to retract and do it the way that the council had voted for him to do it. So the mayor really has a tough job in making a commitment to meet all the needs through the council for all of the citizens.
Do you think, Dr. Knight, that it is a responsibility, let's say, for existing city councilmen who may be of African American descent to start to develop and train other young African Americans in the community to be a part of that new army that can eventually go into politics and learn all the intricacies of politics as it relates to the city of Fort Myers?
I really do, Lee. First, I must say you must be committed to your belief, and you must spend a lot of extra time that you get no compensation for and that you get no thank you for. You know, many nights, Councilman Shoemaker and I in the council, we're around the table, sometimes fussing, disagreeing on trying to make things happen. Then people see things happen. They don't know how they happen. They don't know that we stayed up all night getting this iron out. You know, people just don't give you something now for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes I think our community thinks that, oh, somebody just gave me this because I was nice, because we needed it. I don't care. Sometimes I don't care how much you need. There's some hard work behind it.
How likely is the possibility that we can, as we go into our next century, that the city council of Fort Myers could eventually become an all-white city council again? Do you think that would ever occur again?
Not, I would say, it would take our citizens' belief that they have no voting privileges. You know, every vote counts, and I have said that many times. So if we have the theory that our vote doesn't count, then you will see an all-white council. But if our constituents feel the same way they did at my last election, they know they have a big part to play in who will be mayor as well as who will be a city council person.
Well, I feel very strong that you're going to be re-elected. That's like a slam dunk. That's almost like Michael Jordan slam dunking. Can I get an invitation to the party?
Sure, yes. But, you know, I try real hard. I try to do the best that I can in every job that I undertake. And my citizens are, well, if they're fair with me, they will say, yes, she did the very best. All my neighborhood watch groups can say most times they give me a long list of wants and needs, and I address those needs within hours, you know. So I just need their support again, and I'm asking them to give me another 4 years, and I will work just as hard or harder. I have retired from the school system, but my family can't feel that retirement yet because I'm spending more hours in the day at City Hall, doing some volunteer work, just working hard.
Now, being an educator and being familiar with the grading system, A, B, C, D, E, F, or whatever the case may be, I don't think we make E's anymore. I'm not sure. But at any rate, as you look back at the things that you've been able to accomplish so far as City Councilwoman, how would you grade yourself and why? A being the best grade.
I would grade A. And it speaks for itself. You can look around the city, look at all the improvements. I came in when they were saying there would never be a harbor side. I came in when they said there would never be a Centennial Park. I came in when there was a time when people were just so disagreeable about the Red Sox, you know, and everybody in the county was telling us what to do rather than satisfying the citizens of Fort Myers, and I made that commitment to the citizens of Fort Myers. So we address the needs of our young people. We address the needs of our old folks. We address the needs of our young people who need homes for the first time. Last Saturday, we had a dedication of the 100th home in Velasco Village. And it made me feel very good because I was a part of making a difference. And we are committed to 200 more homes in Velasco Village. So there are all things all around me, Lee, that I just could talk about on and on and on, but I guess I better stop.
And you know, I love to let you talk about those things on and on because I think that it's very important that we get those things out. And we're going to definitely get you back here in the show during the time of the election. I'd like to thank you for coming out now and participating in our Black History Profile. For those who just joined us, we were sitting here talking to Dr. Ann Knight. She's a city councilwoman, made a significant contribution, and she was selected. For our Black History Profile, we focus on African Americans in the community who made a significant contribution, and her contribution has been in the area of education as well as politics. I'd like for you all to join us again next Sunday at 8:30, when we'll get a chance to talk to Mr. Charles Weaver. He's the publisher and the editor of the Community Voice newspaper. If you haven't read it, then you just dropped off another planet. We'll also come back to you this Tuesday at 6 o'clock live. So remember, we're coming to you now Sunday at 8:30 a.m., Tuesdays at 6 o'clock. Dr. Knight, again, I'd like to thank you.
And thank you for giving me this great opportunity.
It's been a plum pleasing pleasure. Remember, for those who say it can't be done, they are usually interrupted by those like Dr. Knight in the profile who are doing it.
Welcome back, Southwest Florida. We're looking live we are here at the Martin Luther King Day celebration. We have a legend in our community here who has joined the Lee Pitts live set here in Centennial Park. And of course, she knows the history of Centennial Park. She was very instrumental in making Centennial Park the success that it is, downtown Fort Myers, the success that it is. We have Dr. Ann Knight, a former city councilwoman who has just had the Stars Complex, one of the preeminent landmarks in Fort Myers, named after her, the Dr. Ann Knight Stars Complex. Dr. Knight, welcome to Lee Pitts Live.
Yes.
It's good to get you here.
It's nice to be here. Very good to be here.
Dr. Knight, you've seen a lot of Martin Luther King Day celebrations here in Fort Myers. How would you say it has changed over the years?
Oh, I see more young people here, which is good. And when I say young people, the young children, we used to have more older students here, but now I see more young people here, which to show that we are growing.
How does that inspire you? How does that encourage you for the future?
That encouraged me to make sure that we have activities that will improve the attendance and the wants of the young people for them to come to this park.
Dr. Knight, I am so proud of what the community has done for you recently. You know, you and I go back at least 25 years where I've been interviewing you for a long period of time when you were a sitting city councilwoman. And
yes, you have.
That's right. And one thing that I've always said is I feel like Dr. Ann Knight doesn't get the credit that she deserves. I think you deserve even more credit. I'm looking forward to when they name a street after you as well. When you were there and they were naming this building after you and you got that phone call to know that the Stars Complex would be named after you, what went through your mind?
Oh, I was so excited. And then others have prophet that one day it will happen. And I say the day has come for that to take place.
You remember the early days when the idea of the Stars Complex was on paper. You were talking about in city council meetings.
Yes.
Mayor Wilbur Smith and all the other city council people.
Yes.
Now your name is on it. when you were there the day of the naming, were you thinking back about the early days?
I was, and I was so glad to see some of the people there who were students when I started, and now they are adults, and that made me very proud to see that they are here to enjoy the park the same as I am still enjoying the park.
You can remember the time when the Dr. Martin Luther King Day celebration wasn't even downtown, right?
Right.
You think it's a good thing that now people come downtown, and why?
Yes, I think it's on the waterfront, and we can get more people here and more activities and have more programs and activities here to participate in.
When you're moving around now and driving around and you're seeing all the growth that has happened in Fort Myers, you're seeing all the River District and all these things that have happened, Dunbar, East Fort Myers, all these things that have taken place, the stadium, just everything. And you know that you were there in the early days, a part of all of that.
Yes.
How does it make you feel to see that all those things have come to reality?
It makes me feel very, very good. And when I ride down First Street now, just to see the activities that are going on First Street as well as in the park. So we got a lot going on that you can come and participate and be glad to be here and enjoy yourself.
Okay. Your children, many of your children came from out of town, Harrison, Sybil. I saw photos. We're seeing photos that came to be a part of this celebration. What was it like to have all your children to be around when they were naming a building after you, and what was some of the response from your children?
First of all, they say, Mother, something couldn't happen this great for you unless we are here. The children are here. And I should say that all of my children came to participate and see the day take place that they thought would never come. So anything
Let me get this out of your face a little bit so people can see you right here. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, any activity I think that they hear people talk about and things that they participate in and that I'm a part of, they will be here to see it happen.
You've had several of your children have grown up to become educators.
Yes, they are.
Dr. Knight, Sybil Knight,
Yes.
Dr. Sybil Knight. Harrison is in the education field as well. Tell us a little bit about your children.
Oh, well, as you know, Sybil is a school superintendent in the state of Pennsylvania. And Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to be exact, and she is enjoying that. But one thing, it keeps her going, and she had to just take time out to be here for the celebration of my celebration. So I was glad she was able to come.
Your background is as an educator. I remember you came up as an educator, right?
Yes, I came as an educator.
So you have a great affinity for our children, our youth in the community.
Yes.
When you're looking at the youth in our community now, are you optimistic? Do you see promise for the future? Are you encouraged?
I'm encouraged. You know, I was an educator for 40 years. You know, that's a long time. And just to see some of the young people that I taught, they are now adults. And they are still, some of them are still carrying on the good work and following activities that I follow.
And I want to make sure I say this on air, that I know during the days when I was a swimming instructor at the Stars Complex,
yes,
you were always very supportive back in the 90s when we were able to have a lot of success. Yes. And we could always call on you to come out and just anything I needed to help the kids to learn how to swim, you were always there.
Yes, I was always there. And you know, a big interest in swimming came about when my young son wanted to swim. So
I see.
And you know, when they want to do something good and something that would improve their coming up, I'm there to help them.
Outstanding. Well, Dr. Knight, it's been a pleasure for you to join us here on Leap Hits Live, and I wish you much success, and congratulations again on having the Stars Complex named after Dr. Ann Knight right here on Edison Avenue.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Hip, hip.
Yes, and thank you very much. And we have been together for many, many years.
That's right. Me and Dr. Knight go way back.
Way back.
So when I told people to get in touch with her, I knew she was going to say, oh, I know Lee Pitts. He's a good guy.
Yes, yes.
We'll be right back, everybody.